Hey everyone and welcome. Today we are going to take a step back to 2021. That's when everything surrounding Triagonal, better known as Tynan Laird, first began to unfold. It all started with what looked like a simple, harmless request for a fan fiction story. But as we're about to show you, what followed was anything but harmless. This is where the truth begins, and where her lies start to unravel. The person Triagonal approached with this request was a user by the name of olqplo. Now, to be clear, olqplo responded respectfully, letting Triagonal know that they weren't accepting any story requests at the time. Nothing unusual there. olqplo added that they were curious about what the story would have been about. Now, before we go any further, let's break this down for anyone who might not be familiar. A fan-fictional or fan fiction request is when someone asks a writer to create a story set within an existing world or series. It's usually written by fans for fun and features characters or settings from shows, games, or books they love. It can explore what-if scenarios, alternate timelines, or entirely new adventures that weren't part of the original story. And in most cases, it's completely harmless, just a creative outlet shared between fans. But here's where things take a turn. Because what Tynan Laird asked for, it wasn't a fan fiction, not by any stretch of the imagination. What she submitted was a deeply inappropriate and disturbing request. Laird described a fictional scenario involving herself and a minor going on a double date. And not just that, she also inserted olqplo and their partner into the scenario uninvited. Now, for the sake of privacy and respect, that partner will not be named or mentioned at any point during this video. But make no mistake, what was being requested here wasn't a harmless piece of fiction. It crossed a line, one that no responsible person should ever approach, let alone invite others into. Naturally, olqplo was not okay with what they just read. In fact, they responded with serious concern, saying outright that what Tynan Laird was asking for fell under the category of pedophilia. And truthfully, it's hard to argue with that assessment. Everyone involved in the conversation, as well as the shipping forum page, was an adult. But the story Laird wanted involved a minor in a romanticized setting with an adult. The way Triagonal worded it, the way it felt, it wasn't innocent. It wasn't creative fiction. It was something that, to many, sounded deeply inappropriate. And olqplo was absolutely right to call it out for what it was. And personally, I feel the same way about this. Laird didn't care what people thought, that's clear. As is the fact she never backed down, as seen in this next part, after a third forum user commented on the matter. Again, before I continue, I want to point out that Two Flaps is not that user's original name. Their original username was Two Naps. They were forced to change it due to Triagonal stealing it and used it as part of her own identity on the art platform known as buzzly.art. This wasn't some coincidence. It was seen by many as targeted impersonation, a deliberate move to blur identities, confuse people, and possibly silence those who stood up to her. So when Two Flaps called her out, it wasn't just about the disturbing content. It was about a pattern of behavior. One where Laird stole names, crossed boundaries, and weaponized online platforms. In response to being called out so directly, Triagonal didn't deny what was said. Instead, she deflected. Her exact words, "Look around you. This is a shipping thread, and one full of exactly equal potential for scandal to what several of those here have accused me of, not the circumstances in which your reaction is necessary." Rather than addressing the core concern that she was involving a minor inappropriately, Laird turned the spotlight outward, trying to shift blame and discredit the reaction as overblown. But it didn't work, because by this point, people were paying attention. And when Triagonal tried to de-escalate the situation, they only made it worse.